Baseball season is here at last, and the excitement continues all season long at DraftKings.com, the official daily fantasy partner of Major League Baseball. Daily fantasy means no season-long commitments. Why wait until the end of the season to claim victory when you can win huge cash every day? Hurry to DraftKings.com now and enter promo code PARDON to play for free. You could win part of the $300 million in prizes being awarded this season. Enter PARDON for free entry now at DraftKings.com. That's DraftKings.com.
Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon. Tony, NASA says its Messenger spacecraft is on a crash course with Mercury.
I'm Tony Kornheiser, and the words of your boy Flo Rida, it's going down for real. It's going down for real.
That's in my head. I can't get that out of my head.
6 months of this stuff. It's going down for real. Enough. Enough. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, the Eagles signed Tim Tebow. Monty Williams thinks the Warriors crowd is too loud, and Alex Rodriguez is off to an eyebrow-raising start. But we begin today with the defending NBA champions, the San Antonio Spurs, who had closed the season 11-1, getting waxed in L.A. by the Clippers. This game was a dunk show. Blake Griffin and Chris Paul were killing it. They got 58 points between them, and at one point, the Spurs were down by 20. Wilbon, was this just one game, or was it something more?
Tony, because it's the Spurs, I think the natural tendency is to automatically presume one game. You know, it's Pop, it's Duncan, it's Ginobili and Parker, it's the five-time champs. It's one game. But, Tony, you know, at some point, it's going to be more than one game, and we're all trying to figure out, except if you're in San Antonio, when that point is coming. The Clippers played so well. Chris Paul was the dominant player. I know Blake Griffin had those dunks, but Chris Paul looked like a league MVP in that game. But there are a couple of things. One, the Spurs missed so many point-blank shots. I don't believe they're going to miss that many in Game 2 or anytime else in this series. And the other thing is, you know, they have a couple of days to figure out what happened and play better, and it is the Spurs.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say one game for now.
I'm not going to make any tremendous value judgments based on one game, but I know how much you like the Spurs. I know how much you respect the Spurs, and I know how last year you were very gratified when they beat Miami because you said they took a whole year's of motivation from losing the year before, and they won, and they carried that with them. I'm not sure they're fueled the same way this year, Mike. I'm not sure it's out there in the same way. They're going to get old. Maybe this is the year that they're going to get old. I was not impressed by the way they lost the 82nd game, Mike. When they lost to New Orleans, when
you
they
thought there was something missing. I know you said that night.
They went from second to sixth in one day. They put themselves in this box, and I think this could be the year that they're out. I do.
Tony, I think it could. You know, it's interesting. I talked to Tony Parker a couple of weeks ago, and I said, you don't have this crusade this year, this motivation. And he said, wait a minute, there is something. And you may think this is manufactured. He said, we've never went back-to-back. Of all the great things we've done, we've never went back-to-back. That is a serious motivation, a legit motivation. Now, people might dismiss that.
Yeah,
I don't know whether it's true or not.
I don't know that I buy it.
But you also, I know you think they can just as easily come back and this could be a long series.
One game. I mean, we may look back in hindsight and say this was the game, but I'm not going to say that today yet.
I think they were something like 13-33, Tone, on open shots and so many point blank. Tony, you might think that the biggest worry for the New Orleans team going into Game 2 is, in a few hours, is the Warriors' basketball superiority. But maybe there's something else. Pelicans coach Monty Williams is suggesting that the noise level at Oracle Arena in Oakland is so off the charts as to be dangerous. Quote, I'm not sure that the decibel level is legal there, and I'm serious, it does get a little out of hand, close quote. So is this an area that an opposing coach should even be mentioning before a game in that building?
Monty Williams sounds like a 2-year-old whining about the noise level. And he says he's not sure if it's legal. I didn't know that there were legal limits to noise. This is what you want from your fans. You want them to be so loud, so persistently loud, that the other team has that drum beat in their heads and they can't react to him. If he thinks that was bad on a noon game on a weekend, wait till some of these fans have a night game and have some pops before the game. He's going to get buried by an avalanche of sound. You know that's going to happen.
Tony, you know it is. And there's no reason for anybody. And I thought at first he was suggesting it was artificial. He's not suggesting that. Because, Tony, this arena, it puts people, for those of us old enough to have been many nights in the old Boston Garden, in the old Chicago Stadium, in Madison Square Garden. I don't know what it sounds like now that it's been remodeled, but back in the day, Madison Square Garden, this arena is the only one left like that. I mean, there are places that are loud. There's no place like Oakland. There's no fan base right now in the NBA like the Warriors fan base. Tony, these are the same people, many of them who go to Raiders games. They don't wear costumes like that, but they are going to be hellish on the New Orleans Pelicans tonight.
You don't complain about the noise. I mean, the good news for him is if they get swept, they don't have to ever go back there and listen to that noise again. So if Monty Williams is waiting to see if there were a living, breathing commissioner of the NBA and he'd go, shh, he'd tell the fans, shh, that's not going to happen. You're throwing oil on the fire here.
This is not tennis or golf.
No.
And you're not going to hear Steph Curry at the line going, Right. This is going to be full throttle noise. Great. Home court advantage at its finest.
Tremendous mistake on the coach's part. Tim Tebow is set to sign with the Philadelphia Eagles. Presumably, he would enter camp as their fourth-string quarterback behind Sam Bradford, Mark Sanchez, and Matt Barkley. Wilbon, Tebow's signing is newsy, and it's exciting, but is it significant?
Tony, it's significant in a couple of ways for me, and you know how I feel about this. To me, it was a joke, it was a travesty, and there was something sinister about Tim Tebow not being on the NFL roster. When I look around at some of the second-string people who are playing in the NFL, and to me, they can't carry Tim Tebow's jock. I didn't understand it. I think there's literally something sinister about it. And so it's a big deal that he is out of the booth, and we're happy to have him. You and I like visiting with him on Fridays in college football season, and he's doing the SEC. Oh, he's got decades for that stuff later. Tim Tebow ought to be on the field. I'm not sure if he's going to get on the field for Chip Kelly. I don't know what the hell Chip Kelly's doing there, but I'm just glad that somebody sees fit to give Tim Tebow a chance and say, come and try and play here.
I have to tell you, it smells like a last chance. I don't see anything sinister in what happened to Tebow already. But I will say this, that when we talked about this originally a few weeks ago, I said that Philadelphia is the best last spot for Tim Tebow because Chip Kelly runs the kind of offense that values a smart guy who can run and throw on the move. And that's what Tim Tebow does. And things can happen. Sam Bradford gets hurt a lot. Let's say they trade Matt Barkley, as has been rumored, and Sam Bradford gets hurt. Then you only have to beat out Mark Sanchez. So maybe there's a chance there. But I'm not sure, and I'm sure you're not sure either, if he'll even make the squad. We don't know if he'll have a chance.
I'm not saying, he should have a chance. I know. Look around. Look at some of the second stringers and third stringers in the NFL. Don't tell me they're better than Tim Tebow, because that would be a lie. So Tim Tebow.
Well, does he have a major league arm? Is working with Tom House going to give him a major league NFL arm?
That is still yet to be determined. By the way, this signing is now official. By the way, and apparently all the Philadelphia brass and Chip Kelly have checked with House and said, here's what we think he's done better now. Because Chip Kelly used to dismiss Tim Tebow. He used to dismiss him.
Here's what he is. He's, unlike with Rex Ryan, he's in a camp now with an offensive-minded coach. So he'll get a shot. He'll get a chance.
At least he's getting that. Tony, we have our first confusing dust-up of the young baseball season, and this one didn't even begin with a hit batter. It started Friday night with this slide in the second base by Oakland's Brett Lawrie, and it touched off a weekend-long back-and-forth retaliation that saw Lawrie get plunked the next day. And while that usually ends these things, it didn't in this case. Lorenzo Cain got hit Sunday, and then to cap it off, Kelvin Herrera threw a 100-mile-per-hour pitch behind Lawrie, and after being ejected, pointed to his head, which enraged the A's. So after all of this, who are you backing, Lawrie or the Royals?
Like you, I thought this was over on Saturday when Lawrie got hit, and he calmly went to first, and he knew that was the code, and he was going to get hit, and that was it. I am not certain that Kazmir deliberately threw at Cain, but I am certain that if you have a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, you can't terrorize batters with it. They've gone after Lawrie. They've gone after him. So I'm going to stand with him and not with the Royals on this particular case. And the commissioner's office has to step in and say, we can't have this. Enough of this now. Enough.
But, Tony, you know what? We do this every spring, summer, fall. You have these things, and usually it starts over a beanball situation. And it's curious this one didn't, as we mentioned earlier. But, Tony, I've come to the point now where this is a boys will be boys thing. This is what baseball players are going to do. They're going to find a reason, even if there's not a hit batsman. Sliding into second base, really? I didn't realize you could hurt somebody's knee.
He took him out hard. He took him out hard. He did.
Tony, they've been taking people out for 120 years. This is one of the accepted codes of baseball historically, that you can slide into second base and take somebody out. In fact, you're supposed to. You're encouraged to. That's taught since Little League.
I'm going to give you the Royals' rationale. Here are the Royals, and they think to themselves, we're pretty good, and everybody thinks we're upstarts, right? And now they're throwing at us. And 14 of our guys have been hit so far this season, tops in the majors. So we're going to stand up. We're going to show them we can't do this. But to me, that is crazy bravado. Well, especially, did you see how quickly that umpire threw out the pitcher at 100 miles an hour behind the guy's head? He didn't waste any time at all.
You can maim somebody. You can maim somebody with that. And then the point to your head, you can't just say, oh, I was saying think about what you're doing. I don't know if that washes.
The biggest surprise in the young baseball season is the prodigious hitting of Alex Rodriguez, a man the Yankees didn't even want. A-Rod is hitting .316 with 4 homers and 11 RBI in 12 games. Talking about pace is ridiculous now, but A-Rod's on pace for 54 homers and 149 RBI at nearly 40 years old. Given all that has preceded him, Wilbon, are you skeptical of A-Rod's fast start?
Skeptical as in, I think he's taking performance enhancers.
Exactly. That's what the question is, yes.
And by the way, excuse me, 2 days ago, his pace was 81 homers. So, seriously, stop with the pace, as you suggested. No, Tony, what I'd have to be, to be skeptical, it means I would be saying baseball, Major League Baseball is so incompetent they can't administer a drug test. And not only that, they can't administer it with somebody they know has been a cheater, who's embarrassed the game, who's embarrassed the league, who's embarrassed their commissioner. If you can't at that point administer a simple drug test, I don't know what to do. So, no, I'm not skeptical of A-Rod. I'm not.
I think about this. I have thought about this. I watched him the other night when he had 2 homers and the game-winning single, and I wondered, is this legit? Because everybody, all of our friends, Tim Kirchin, Richard Justice, they told us he's too old. He can't get around on a fastball. He's not good enough for the league. He's getting around on fastballs.
So do they think he's...
I haven't talked to them. There's a part of me which says it would be unbelievably gutsy, and that's the word I'm using instead of the word I want to use, if he were actually using performance-enhancing drugs. I got to figure they're testing him all the time. Nelson Cruz was a biogenesis guy. Last year, he hit 40 homers. He's got 8 already. I assume they're testing everybody, right?
Tony, I think what we've always believed is that these were great players before the drugs, before they decided to say, I'm going to be invincible. They were great players. At some point, Alex Rodriguez was one of the great players and projected to be one of the great players of all time before. When he was a teenager, young
when
teenager.
He was in Seattle,
Okay, so even before that. So, I mean, to be skeptical, man, I mean, we got to be a skeptical world if we're saying baseball can't even get this right.
We used to work for newspapers, and the cynicism is part of the trade, don't you think?
I guess so, Tom.
Let us take a break. But coming up, how excited should Bulls fans allow themselves to get over Derrick Rose's Game 1 performance?
Stay calm, big boy. And would the Buccaneers really be open to trading the #1 pick?
I would assume they're going nuts in Chicago. They're carrying Derrick Rose up Michigan Avenue.
No, well, you'd be wrong.
Really?
Baseball season is here at last, and the excitement continues all season long at DraftKings.com, the official daily fantasy partner of Major League Baseball. Daily fantasy means no season-long commitment. Why wait until the end of the season to claim victory when you can win huge cash every day? Hurry to DraftKings.com now and enter promo code PARDON to play for free. You could win part of the $300 million in prizes being awarded this season. Enter PARDON for free entry now at DraftKings.com. That's DraftKings.com.
We found out this morning that the intern can draw my bath and prepare my eggs Benedict. Let's see if he can pick 4 good issues. You ready, Wilbon?
I'm ready, Tom. Showers, not baths.
Should Bulls fans get their hopes up after Derrick Rose's Game 1 performance?
Tony, fans' hopes are up. Now, they'll be higher after tonight if Derrick Rose does something similar. And it's the 13 drives to the basket that are the important statistic here, not the three-pointers launched, and he did make 3 of those in about a 2-minute span in the third quarter, but it's being able to go to the basket hard, explosive, in a daring not the reckless way which he used to do it. But they got to beat Milwaukee a second time. The Bulls have not strung together these kinds of performances this year. They got to string two together. That means winning tonight, and they need that from Rose again.
I am surprised you left me any time at all. You know how I feel about this with Derrick Rose. I think that Derrick Rose looks at his career as being short-lived because of his injuries. And he thinks this may be the last chance he has to win a title. I think he will go after these games like a whirling dervish. I think he will play without any caution whatsoever because I think he thinks his clock is limited. So Bulls fans ought to get really excited. It's going to be exciting. I don't know how long it'll last. It's going to be very exciting. So
yeah, well, tonight, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock Eastern time.
Oh, can't wait.
I can't.
Do you think the Bucs are likely to trade the top pick?
No, of course not. And these stories, I know it's a very, not just reputable, veteran, reputable reporter, Bob Glauber, who's reporting this. But, Tony, this is what happens pre-draft. There's no news. There's no news. But networks and newspapers and now all the blogs and all the websites and all the .coms, they got to come up with something because there's no draft news.
Right.
So every day there's a draft story that these things, they don't happen, and no, the Buccaneers are not trading the pick.
Yeah, I mean, they need a quarterback. They don't have an incumbent quarterback that they like, and at the top of the draft are two good quarterbacks, whoever you want to choose. You want to choose Winston, you want to choose Mariota. If they trade the pick, presumably they would trade for a quarterback. You're not going to get somebody equal to the number one pick overall. You're going to get a quarterback that somebody else doesn't want.
To get rid of.
So,
yes.
So I mean, to me, this makes absolutely no sense. If they had a quarterback, you could trade down, you could pick up 2 picks, 3 picks. But for the Tampa Bay not to take the quarterback at the top,
Tony, there's going to be a story like this every day between now and Thursday because there's no news.
How should the NHL feel about Edmonton landing the right to draft the league's next great prospect?
Tony, the league should feel excited, Connor McDavid. I'm not. But the league should be because it's important for Edmonton, Winnipeg, Calgary. These franchises are to the NHL what, say, San Antonio, Oklahoma City, Portland, places where you are the show. And those teams, those franchises are unbelievably important, not just to their places, their states in this case, but the league. Same thing, Tony. So Connor McDavid playing up there. I realize in New York and Washington and Chicago, they don't care. But you know what? Too bad. It's a Canadian league.
Better to go to a Canadian city than, say, Phoenix or someplace like that. I would remind people,
I liked them in Phoenix.
I would remind people that there was a time when Wayne Gretzky and Mark Messier played in Edmonton, right?
Quite successfully.
And the league
quite spectacularly.
The league certainly like that. So, I mean, maybe they'd rather he be in Toronto because McDavid is a Toronto kid. But I think they ought to be okay with Edmonton. The problem, the worry, is that this is Edmonton's 4th number 1 pick in the last 6 years.
That is the problem. They can't get it right, Tony.
And they get it wrong. They can't get it right.
So. And this kid is supposed to be so can't miss that they can't miss. If they miss with him, I don't know.
Like can't miss like your third baseman with the Cubs? That you said take it easy
supposed
on?
To be really? Supposed to be that, yeah.
Do you believe Masai Ujiri cussed again intentionally?
Yes, I do. Yes, I mean, Masai, they have a rally in Toronto. By the way, these rallies in Toronto are unbelievable. Where a big city franchise acts like a little town. It's like Tuscaloosa or Columbus with 99,000 people for spring game. They go nuts, and Masai riles them up, and then maybe he drops a little word. Yeah, he downgraded from an F-bomb to, an
S-bomb.
I like cursing. So I'm fully in support of this, and I think it ought to be required at every NBA rally before the playoffs. I am totally for this.
This is a silly question. Of course he did it intentionally. This is his move. He did it in the same spot last year, the exact same spot. He is supposedly fined $35,000, and he makes over $3 million, and the team's going to pick it up anyway. So this is absolutely deliberate. He wanted to bait Paul Pierce into something, and Paul Pierce crushed him. He got 20 points, and he got in Ujiri's head. All right, so this is a total backfire.
By the way,
except in Toronto, it's not a backfire.
You were 0 for so far. I told you I want Paul Pierce on the floor in the postseason. Last week you said, well, I wanted him 7 years ago.
Right.
How did it look so far in game 1 for your Wizards?
Exactly one road team won. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, that's right.
So you won so far. Enough email.
Your Wizards.
Let's take one last break, but still to come, a report that the Thunder are seriously considering replacing Scott Brooks with UConn coach Kevin Ollie.
Wow. And we get a closer look at Steve Spurrier's workout routine, the old ball coach, Tom, working out.
Let me emphasize this again. Why would you go to Oklahoma City if Durant and Westbrook are going to leave? Why?
Well, maybe he'll keep them there.
Really?
ESPN Radio.
With the action on the court, the diamond, or the gridiron. comes alive.
The NBA.
The San Antonio Spurs are the world champions.
Major League Baseball.
San Francisco Giants are the champions of the baseball world.
The new college football playoff.
College football playoff national champion, the Ohio State Bucs.
You're home for the best in sports play-by-play.
ESPN Radio.
Happy time, people. Happy 70th birthday, Steve Spurrier. We are wishing the old ball coach happy birthday, just so we can show you this video of him working out with a reporter from the state. Notice that Spurrier works out in a golf shirt and a golf vest. That is not an outfit you see very often at the gym. At the end, Spurrier goes topless, and he shouts out, "Touchdown, Gamecocks!"
I had a problem envisioning Spurrier workout involving anything other than wedges. I mean, what is he, scratch golfer? You knew it was going to be golf-related.
Happy anniversary, Blake Griffin. Around this day last year, you took it upon yourself to cool off a Warriors fan during a Clippers home loss. Of course, Griffin did this deliberately. But honestly, if Griffin dunks the way he did last night against the Spurs, who's going to take him down for throwing water?
I'm sorry, you realize Michael Jeffrey Jordan scored 63 points 29 years ago tonight in Boston Garden? They lost, but he scored.
I knew that.
Record.
Life has
Playoff
moved
record.
on. Happy trails to Inbee Park's victory. The number 2 golfer in the world was moments from a win yesterday at the LPGA event in Hawaii. But Se-Young Kim forced the playoff by chipping in for par on 18, then won it by eagling from 154 yards out on the first extra hole. What a spectacular finish that was.
Yeah, but Tony, she said it was only her second greatest shot to win. She had a hole-in-one once to win a tournament in Korea.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. And the other golf, the men's golf with Furyk was very exciting. 63 and birdies on the first 2 holes in extra holes. One error, I said the Royals had been hit more than any team in the league. It's actually the Rangers.
Nice
Wilbon
job by
gave
you.
me bad information.
No, I didn't.
Here we go to the big finish.
Let's do it.
Sportsnet New York says the Thunder are seriously considering Kevin Ollie to replace Scott Brooks, who they still employ. Would you back that move?
I wouldn't generate it, and only if Durant and Westbrook back it too, Tony. That's the only way. The Cardinals beat the Reds last night in a game that took, listen to this, 2 hours, 2 minutes, despite the long national TV commercials. Are these new rules working?
I think they are. I think you can watch a game in a regular evening. You don't have to invest the entire
night. It's only
night.
8 minutes a night shorter. So
A record
8 minutes.
99,391 fans attended the Ohio State spring game. That's a big deal, isn't it?
Don't tell me. There's no record involved in spring football, and it's not important.
Really?
Offensive lineman Alex Boone told HBO Jim Harbaugh wore out his welcome with the Niners. Your thoughts, Tony?
Isn't that what they say about Harbaugh wherever he goes, that it's a quick burnout for everybody, including him? Last one, Rangers-Penguins tonight, tied a game apiece. Who wins game 3?
This could be a really good series, Tony. I got the Rangers advancing out of this series, beating the Penguins, so the Rangers winning tonight.
We're out of time. We'll try and do better the next time, and I'm Tony Kornheiser.
I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, knuckleheads. Check out the PTI podcast on iTunes.
Dr. Stephen Privet, thank you. Shout out. Get it.